All right, Shalom. It's the brother Malak coming back at you with this truth. First and foremost, I'm going to start off by saying Brakathe Yahweh, Brakathe Yahweh Shai, Brakathe Yahweh, Brakathe Yahweh Shai, Brakathe Yahweh, Brakathe Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim, La Abanawa, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakal Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, the Vayath, Dawadah, the house of David. All right, we're just going to get right into it. All right, so this is here. I brought this out a few videos, the Bible journey, which I go into this particular portion of the Bible journey. All right, which is talking about the Gospels, which I have right here. I'm just going to read it as it is, verbatim written. All right, it says the story of Jesus of Nazareth, which his name is really Yahweh Shai. All right, is told in the New Testament by 4 different authors. The first 4 books of the New Testament are called Gospels because they concern the good news, right? Contain, Salakia, the good news about Yahweh Shai's life, all right? Or who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Life, death, and resurrection. The 4 authors traditionally identified as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John had different audiences in mind when they wrote, so the accounts differ quite markedly, all right, in approach. Okay, so it says who wrote the New Testament? Question mark. It says Mark, Gospel 62 A.D., Luke, Gospel 62 to 63 A.D., Matthew, Gospel 70 to 80 A.D., Gospel John 85 AD, 3 letters to 85 to 88 AD, and Revelation 990 AD, right when John was on the Isle of Patmos. And then you got Luke, who wrote Acts of the Apostles, all right, in 62 to 63 AD. All right, and then the 4 letters, James, Paul, Jude, and Peter. First letter, 35 AD. 13 letters by Paul is C. 50 to 67 AD, Jude 1 letter 65 AD, and Peter 2 letters from 67 AD. All right, and then it says later on the author of the letter to the Hebrews 65 AD is unknown. That's not true. That's Paul who wrote that to the Hebrews. All right, so certain things you guys pick out the bones out of here and take the meat. All right, and run with that. All right. It says Matthew, Mark, and Luke set out to present a description of Yahweh Shai's life and death roughly in chronological order. Right? Chronological order. As together they see Yahweh Shai's life in broadly the same way. They are known as the synoptic, meaning see together. All right, synoptic or tick. All right, meaning seeing together. Gospels. John was more concerned with explaining Yahweh Shai's teachings in theological, so he has more the thematic, all right, approach and makes little attempt to present his Gospels in a chronological order. All right, now see, as you read down here, it has a whole bunch of information. Mark's Gospels, the shortest of the 4 Gospels, is widely though to be the first one to have been written. Over a third of his account concerns only the events surrounding Yahweh Shai's death and resurrection. It was probably written as early as 62 AD, a little over 30 years after the death and resurrection of Yahweh Shai. All right, while Mark was staying with Paul in Rome, it is considered to be the earliest gospel because Luke and Matthew appear to borrow a considerable amount of their information from Mark's narrative. About 90% of Mark's narrative is repeated in Mark's gospel, while Luke includes over half of Mark's content. So here you have it right here. It says Mark's early account of Yahweh Shai's life is widely believed to have been written by John Mark and a Israelite member. All right, I should say, because I'm not going to say Jewish. I'm going to say Israelite member of the early, and they say early Christian and all of that, but We're not no Christians, man. All right, even though we're followers of Yahweh Shai, but we're not no Christians, man. We're Hebrew Israelites. Community in Jerusalem, or Yashalom, all right, Yerushalayim, okay, at whom's home the first Christian believers met. See Acts 12 and 12, all right, and I'm reading it verbatim. Some of it, I can't say that name Jesus Christ because it's not the name. That's not the name of the Lord. It's Yahweh Shai, all right. John Mark, as teenagers, may have known Yahweh Shai well. The upper room where Yahweh Shai's Last Supper was held may have been at Mark's house. Many scholars think that the young man whom Mark says escaped from the Garden of Gethsemane when Yahweh Shai was arrested, see Mark 14, 51, 52, was John Mark and himself. All right. And then you go on to read a whole lot of it, man. After Yahweh Shai's death, Mark would have heard firsthand accounts of the life and teachings of Yahweh Shai from Peter and other apostles. All right, it says, as a young man, he traveled across Cyprus. All right, it says, with Paul and Barnabas, who was his uncle, in 46 AD before returning to Jerusalem. See Acts 12, 25, 15, 37 to 39. He later spent 2 years in Rome, 60 to 62 AD, where Paul was under house arrest, awaiting his trial before Emperor Nero. Right, and that's how you know that Emperor Nero was the one who put out the decree to put Apostle Paul to death. All right, he was beheaded. And that's how you know that Tiberius Julius Caesar, during the time of Yahweh Shai's death, was the emperor during that time. All right, you see? Okay. You know, so it is likely that Mark's gospel was written around the time relying from accuracy on the accounts that the author had heard from Peter and the other apostles. All right, so you go on to read. It says Mark was later sent by Paul to the church of Colossae, all right, or Colossae, all right. But Paul asked Timothy to bring Mark back to Colossae, to Rome, just before his death in 67 AD, and that's correct. That's when Paul died, 67 AD. All right, see Corinthians. All right, Colossians, Salakia 4:10 and 2 Timothy 4 to 11. We know that John Mark arrived back in Rome about the time of Peter sending greetings from Mark in his first letter to the believers in Asia Minor, right? Written in 67 AD, shortly before Peter was executed. All right, and that was also done by Nero. Okay, see 1 Peter 5 and 13. It says, as Mark goes out of his way to explain Israelite customs, see Mark 7, 3 to 4 and 15 to 42. It says, or 15 in verse 42. He is probably addressing an audience that is including Gentiles. Now, those Gentiles are talking about Israelite foreigners, Israelites who didn't know that they were, who was following the ways of the other nations. All right, this is not talking about the original Gentiles, okay, the heathens. All right, this is talking about Israelites who are lost from the promise, okay, who didn't keep the customs, going back into Antiochus Epiphanes. All right, it says, and may well have written his good news for the believers in Rome. Right, and see, there you have it, for the believers in Rome. So we was in Rome, we was in Greece, all over, man. All right, and then you go on to read a lot of this, man. All right, you brothers can read a lot of this, but I just wanted to read some of it. All right, as you can see, I keep it up there if you want to read it. I'll move down slowly, and it goes into a lot of scriptures, man. It mentions a lot of scriptures. It mentions 66 AD. It mentions all of that, man. This goes into a whole thing. You got pictures here. All right, see stuff like this, man. Stuff like this right here helps you, man. Okay, stuff like this helps you understand the Bible. You understand what you're reading, man. All right, I'm just moving slowly. All right, these all getting into the Gospels, the good news, man. These are what we read on an everyday basis, man. All right, see, that's right, bro. Yeah, John was on the Isle of Patmos. Tells you right here. Look, it says after completing the gospel in 3 letters to the daughter of churches in the region around Ephesus. All right, it says John was exiled by the Roman Emperor Domitian. That's correct. Domitian to the Isle of Patmos. Here in 90 A.D., he wrote the book of Revelation, a revelation he received from Yahweh Shai, the Mashiach, about the last days. Revelation 1 and 1 through 3. He returned to Ephesus in 96 A.D., where he died and was buried. There you have it. See? You know? So, yeah, brothers, I just wanted to bring that out. I wanted to show you that. You know, I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, the Bayath, Dawadah, the house of David. Hey, Shalom, kings. Stay strong. On to the next one.